retired military turned real estate phenom. Join us for this incredible journey with Dan Merrill. Dan started a real estate career after 22 years in the Air Force and sold $4.9 million in his first year in real estate. Stick around to hear his story, how he built his business, and how he continues to grow his incredible success.
Welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission, where we dive into real stories, big wins, and early lessons learned from highly successful rookie real estate agents and brokers. This is the series where we explore how real estate transforms lives, one home at a time, by sitting down each week with a new agent or broker who has found incredible success in their first year. Your hosts are instructors and leaders at Colibri Real Estate School, one of the largest real estate educators in the nation, where we focus on helping people like you get started or find continued success in their careers.
Hello, and welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. My name is Tina Lapp, and I'm Head of Industry Relations and Career Excellence for Colibri Real Estate. I have been in real estate education for over 30 years, helping individuals enter and thrive in their new careers. We are here today with Dan Merrill. Dan, will you take a moment to introduce yourself, where you live, and what company you're with?
Sure thing. So I'm Dan Merrill. I'm out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm with Coldwell Banker Premier Realty. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I definitely want to find out. So before you got into real estate, what were you doing?
So before I got into real estate, I was in the U.S. Air Force for 22 years.
Love it. And so I'm sure people are wondering, how'd you go from that to real estate? How'd you make that decision to get into real estate?
Well, it kind of just came out of nowhere. I figured I was too young to be retired.
For sure.
Retired at 43, and got bored at home. And I just out of nowhere, my wife got tired of seeing me at the house and was like, "You need to get a job." So I really loved it, the interaction with people. And I remember when I bought my first house, actually here in Nevada, my realtor was amazing, and she made a difference in our lives. So I wanted to try and see what she thought about that, and if I would be any good. So I contacted her, and she pushed it from there and got me involved.
Okay, so here you are, you're retired military. Thank you for your service, by the way. That is fantastic. And then you decide, I'm going to get into real estate. What did you expect going into your first year in real estate? Oh man,
I expected to be overwhelmed. I knew it was a whole new career set from what I was used to. I'm used to working on the flight line with aircraft. And this was a whole set, admin type job and talking to people and being professional. And, so it was a different beast. But I was looking forward to the challenge. And part of my job in the Air Force, I was a recruiter. So that was a more fulfilling position that I held for 4.5 years. And I just knew that I was pretty good talking to people, just being authentic and working on that and just trying to get through to them, let them know that I could help.
Yeah, that's great. So you talk to your real estate agent, you decide you're going to get licensed. Walk us through that process of getting your license. How'd you take your classes? Were they online or classroom?
Yeah, so funny story. About a year before I retired, I was trying in my mind, what am I going to do? I finished my bachelor's and master's degree while I was in the Air Force and decided I didn't really want to work for the government anymore. So I was like thinking about real estate while I was in, and I decided while I was in Italy to take some online courses. So I went online and I was looking at all the real estate schools in Nevada. We had decided to retire back here.
Yeah.
And I found a Groupon, funnily enough, I go on there, and it was for Century 21. It was a different company that was hosting a school. So I went through there, I think it was like an 8-week course, and finished the school all online. It was pretty easy. It was self-paced. It was a couple Zoom classes here and there. And a year and a half had passed before I had retired and decided to go through with it. So when I got back to Nevada, I found out that they had added an extra 20 hours to it. So I had to go, find another school, take the 20 hours, and just decided to take the test, and then see what happens, and passed one of them. I passed the state exam and I failed the national by like 2 questions. So they offered like a crash course out here in Nevada at one of the real estate schools. So I took that. It was an 8-hour, 1-day Saturday course. Went back that following Monday and I passed it. So it wasn't that bad.
That's awesome. And the fact that you were able to take classes from Italy to get started, that's incredible. And then you went back and finished up. That's great. And passing the exam the first time is not an indication of your success. Obviously, you're a great example of that, right? But going back and not giving up, because we'll get you past the exam for sure. So it took you in total over a year and a half, but that's because you weren't really ready yet. And and because the whole course, you said about 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the most challenging part of going through the education and licensing?
The jargon. It was a lot of words, it was a lot of words, a lot of legalities, legal words. And it was a bunch of stuff that, honestly, when you get into after you get through all that kind of stuff, I'm not going to say it's not important because it's very important, but a lot of that stuff you put on the back burner, and then you get into the real world of real estate, and a lot of that stuff is covered by your broker and stuff like that. So I tell everyone, if you're going through the test, like I've done numerous times with people here, it helps you to come in as long as you can separate the two. Come into the office while you're learning, and that way you're getting the real world side as well as the book side. And you can do both as long as you can separate. There's test material, and then there's stuff that you're going to do with them, the real world.
Yeah, so true. That what you need to take to get your license isn't always how to practice the business of real estate, right? It's all that vocabulary and stuff. And you are so educated, right? You've got your bachelor's and your master's, and you've got a lot of life experience, but you still got to learn that vocabulary and all that stuff, right?
And then nothing.
Yeah. Well, you did it though. Congratulations. So how long after getting your license did you get to the closing table? When did you close your first transaction?
So it was about a month and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
So I got my license and I hit the ground running. I was coming into the office every single day, even prior to getting my license. I was trying to, what they call plant the seed. So as soon as I got my license, I was hitting the ground running. I already figured out my niche. Like I wanted to work military people and help those guys out. So I was working and, and it takes a while for it to close. So I got my first 2 clients on the same day. And we actually closed on the same day, 35 days later or something. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, congratulations. That is amazing. Is there anything from your military background that you think helped prepare you for a career in real estate? You said it was really different, but there's got to be some just the rigor and the commitment, things like that, maybe?
Absolutely. The discipline, schedule. Those are things that I can relate to in a heartbeat. And it doesn't seem very hard to me, but to a lot of new folks coming in, I can see the struggle. And, we're very regimented in the military. We have these schedules we stick to. You wake up early, go to PT, go home, shower, come to work at this time. So I just kind of put that into real estate. And I was always coming to the office at 5:30. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Office opens at 8 o'clock. People start trickling at 7:30. I was trying to get in there before them to try and get ahead, and I knew I was the new guy. So I have way more to learn than they did. So I was just trying to come in for myself and stick to my schedule and learn as much as I could and divvy out the day to what worked for me. So that discipline and schedule 100% helped me.
Yes, that's huge. So how did you learn? Like you went into the office every day. Did you take classes? Did you have a mentor? How did you learn it?
Absolutely. So I interviewed a bunch of brokerages when I first started. And I guess I wasn't your typical interviewee. I came to each brokerage with a set of questions and I kind of interviewed them. And, it was like, okay, all these splits and everything, what do you do for me? And a lot of them were like, what? Like, what? So, I was like, what do I get for the split? Like, what are you going to give me? I don't know anything about your world. So what do I get? And the one thing that stood out with Coldwell Banker is education. They decided, they were the ones that were like, hey, we have a set schedule. You need to be here 75% of the time. We give you guys classes Monday through Friday. And for me, that was like perfect. You know, I'm retired, so I'm like, what else am I going to do? So I was there every single day. 8 o'clock in the morning on Mondays, you know, we have early birds where our CEO actually, all 3 campuses that we have in Nevada, he gets on there and gives us a breakdown. He has guest speakers, and we're learning all about, you know, what's going on in Nevada and Las Vegas, and always staying on top. Then Tuesdays, you know, we have classes. Our broker, our sales manager, they're constantly teaching contracts, teaching classes. So I stayed on top of that. And then during the times that there weren't classes, I was on YouTube watching all these superstar agents, trying to see what they were doing in other states and trying to, you know, emulate that.
That's great. And so you said that you decided that you were going to target military personnel. Talk to me about that. Like, how'd you do that? What was your plan?
I didn't have one. You know, it's like I came into this, and honestly, nobody else here did either, because not too many people have access to the bases. You know, not too many people. So honestly, what I did was very basic. I didn't have any. You know, I'm not I don't wear suits and ties. As you can tell, I'm a Hawaiian shirt guy,
Awesome.
laid back. So I bought some polos. I got some Coldwell Banker logos. I put them together, and I would go on Starbucks on base and just sit back, and kind of my laid back approach to everything was just kind of sit there and smile at people. I'm not the most friendly looking guy, but smile at people, and they would approach me and, you know, hey, are you a realtor? And, you know, I would mess around with them. No, I just like to wear the shirt. And, you know, just that intro of soft opening and non-threatening approach would open that door. And the more people around, the more people curious. So people would start coming around my table at Starbucks and just be like, hey, can I get your car? Absolutely. You know, so that was my initial way of getting in. You know, I figured out better ways later on, but for the first like couple months, I would just go to Starbucks we have 2 Air Force bases. So Nellis Air Force Base, I'd go out there and hang out at Starbucks and our little food court that we have there to feed everybody, right? And I would go to my old squadron and talk to my old peers that were still there, you know, my old troops, because I used to be in charge of the air terminal on the base. When I left, my subordinates were now in charge. So I would go over there and just ask, hey, can I teach classes about the VA loans? And, you know, it's just something they don't really teach us about when we're, you know, growing up through the ranks. That's not really priority one for the military, obviously. You know, we have missions. So I wish I would have known what I know now when I was younger. And they were like, yeah, actually, come on. We have breaks, you know, during these days at this time, you can come on in. And my goal was to educate them. No, like, hey, buy a house. It was more like, hey, did you know? And that approach went miles. And then I was getting invited to different units to do the same thing.
That's fantastic. And it sounds like you drank a lot of coffee, a lot of Starbucks coffee during that time. And continue to do so. So did you find it difficult to establish credibility, or was that not even an issue being a new agent?
No. I think being military, when I retired, I was a senior non-commissioned officer. So, I mean, we like to pride ourselves on integrity. And with my background and a lot of the people knew who I was. You know, I spent 5 years here in Las Vegas before I spent 3.5 in Italy. So when I retired and moved back here, like I said, a lot of people knew who I was. Mm-hmm. I was very active in the Asian Pacific community. We started a club out here and grew to like 400 members. So even the Asian Pacific Islanders, they knew who I was. And I got back to that group when I got back. So it was just word of mouth, you know, had changed. Hey, you know, Sergeant Merrill's a realtor now. You know, they trusted me back as a senior NCO. Now as a realtor, you know, there's nothing has changed except now, you know, I'm not a shark and I'm not, you know, going to go after you or, you know, rip you off or anything. So I think that my reputation had helped me a little bit.
That's tremendous. Did you do any marketing, social media, mail, anything like that? Or was it all just the networking on base?
Most of it, you know, because when you come into real estate, it's not cheap. So MLS fees and all these other fees, and then that on top of me being a cheap person, normally I was trying to save as much money as possible. So I was just word of mouth a lot. Social media is free, you know, so I was going on there building my base. And, I have 3 adult children. They're in San Diego, Arizona, and Denver, and they were blasting my stuff to their networks and,
Cool.
utilize them. And then I was doing postcards. So I would go on Canva,
Okay.
design my own stuff, put it on Vistaprint, print them out, and then buying stamps in bulk off of eBay. And that I still do that to this day. I come in like an hour early. I try to do 200, 250 postcards, a week. And, the time, it's time consuming, but it does pay off. But it's not very, it's not very expensive at all if you do it like that.
And did you focus on buyers, sellers, or just opportunistic and whatever came in was okay?
At first, buyers, because listings
Okay.
were scary,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a couple months into it, I was like, let's just go. Let's go for listings. And after my first couple listings in the first couple months, I was like, this isn't that bad. This is actually kind of cool. So then I was just blasting to both postcards and not advertising, but social media, just catering to both sides. Listening, if you're moving, I'm that guy. VA loan specialist, if you're buying, I got you, and then, my biggest cheerleaders now are my buyers and sellers. When they leave or whatever, they just keep my Google business page. I'm like, hey, how can we repay you? Can you just leave me a review? Leave an honest review, and that is blown up for me exponentially. Like for my client base, people are reaching out to me like, how did you find me? And they're like, oh, we found you on Google. Like, oh, that's awesome. I've only been in the business so little, but you've already found me on Google. Like, I appreciate it. That's amazing. That's free.
Yeah, that is no better advertising, right, than those testimonials and reviews. That's fantastic. Was there a particular social media platform that performed best for you, or one that you
Different
like to
levels.
use?
I use so our company, so Coldwell Banker here, we have a really good marketing team that's included. I have to pay for that. So we set it up to where when I post on my Instagram, it automatically flows to my Facebook account and my LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I don't really have to
Awesome.
worry about numerous posts. I just do it to my Instagram, and it flows to the others. So I focus on Instagram a lot, and that's my younger crowd. And
Yeah.
then my Facebook is where I get the older military members and the families, I would say. So Instagram for the younger 30 and under crowd, and then Facebook for me and my like family types.
Yeah.
So yeah, they both play good different roles, but they're both very productive for me.
Yeah. So a lot of in person and a little bit of social media and some great reviews. That's awesome. What were some of your biggest challenges you faced during the first year? What was most difficult for you?
So during the first year, the brokerage, right? They're constantly education, and they're all about foundation, as everyone should be, right? Do what works, find out what works for you, and a lot of it is door knocking. A lot of it is going out there and open houses. So for me, the challenge was that. I mean, it's 120 degrees in the summertime here.
Yeah.
Not something everybody wants to do, but you force yourself. You're supposed to. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I did that. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. Just to kind of see if that was what works for me. And I found after a couple months that door knocking is not for me. I found out that for me, I can go on base and be more productive at Starbucks and at the food courts and in people's units versus door knocking. For me, the marketing, the postcard marketings were working for me. Open houses. I still do those even now and then. But at first it was a challenge because it's hard for me to sit in one place for for 4 or 5 hours. So then I started learning, like, just bring the laptop and work. If nobody's coming in, at least I'm productive. So those are some of the challenges. For me, coming from the military, there wasn't anything too challenging. It was kind of like, I don't want to do this, but it wasn't very challenging.
Yeah. There was a lot to do, so that's good.
Yeah.
And so open houses, you mentioned open houses. Did you find them to be successful?
I would say yes,
Okay.
especially my first year. Yeah, it was, I went into open houses expecting to sell that house, and the more I learned what open houses are meant to do, I better understood them. And, with the leadership they kind of explain everything. You're not supposed to go in there expecting to sell that house. You go in there to get unrepresented buyers, to you help them find other houses. So once I understood that after like the first two I did, whole different perception on it, changed my whole setup, and then I started catering to look at what I can do for you, and not just like, look at this beautiful house. It was more like, look what I can do for you. This is how I set my things up. This is how I present, and I can do even more for you if you hire me. So, it was productive. It's still productive even to this day. I think when I have a lull in business, I'll still do these open houses and in the areas where my military folks look at.
Yeah. And it's a great tip for individuals that are just getting started because they do think of it that way. So I love what you just said right there. Did you have a mentor or support system? Like when you were in a bind and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this, or I need to ask someone, who'd you call? How'd you navigate that?
Yeah. So, my realtor that, I sold me my house 12 years ago, she recruited me to Coldwell Banker. She's the one that recommended me to come over here. And that's why this was the last stop. I was like, I want to see what else is on the playing field before I come over here. And, so whenever I come in a pinch, she's one of the top agents here. And, I try not to bother her because she's very busy. But when I do come into that kind of situation, and I feel like it'd be best suited for her, because I can come to leadership here anytime. Day or night, weekends, these guys are available. But when it is something super specific where I need her advice, I can go to her and I can call her and she's there, no matter what she's doing. And I highly respect her, as an agent, as a friend. And I know she'll steer me in the right direction. So
that's great. So what a super network of folks. You have her and you have your leadership. So you've got that call a friend and support system right there. Are there any funny or memorable experiences with a client from your early days while you were still learning?
A lot of memorables, nothing too funny, but a lot of memorables. Just the impacts that you make on people's lives they've shared with me, and that just encourages me to do it more. It's like people come from different backgrounds, and the generational curse of parents and grandparents have always rented their whole lives. They could never afford it. Joining the military was not. The VA loan was not in the back of their, was not part of the deal. They didn't know that coming in. They didn't know they could ever afford a house. And when you put a young family in a home, and then, they share with you, like, I didn't realize it was this easy. I didn't know we could ever do this. And then they share their family history with you. Like, my parents could never do this, blah, blah. And it's one of the reviews I got, they put me, God put Dan. And I was just like, whoa, like, you realize that the impact that you're making, it's not just putting them in a home. It's not just putting a roof over their head. It's way deeper than that. And you want to talk about impactful. I mean, that's something that like I hold dear to my heart, and what keeps me motivated to keep doing this.
Yeah, it gave me the chills right there, Dan. I mean, I hear it a lot, and that's what it's all about. And those are great stories that, keep you going for sure. So how do you, when you buy or sell a home, you've got a client, after the closing, how do you maintain relationships, or do you maintain relationships with those individuals?
Absolutely. Even throughout from beginning to end, I don't treat them like clients. They're sucked into my family. They're pretty much, Pacific Islanders by nature, we're very welcoming. And, my wife is part of the deal. When my kids come in, when they come visit town, like we go visit them, like, hey, we're in town. My wife makes some food, whatever, we'll drop it off. And I live in the areas I sell. So some of them are neighbors, you know what I mean? Some of them live next door. So we invite them to karaoke nights. We invite them to, we have client appreciation barbecues. Just little things like that where we're always, because, they're military. So we are their second families, right? These guys are from the East Coast. They're from, some of them are from India. They're from, you know what I mean? Like they go in the military and they're all from all over the West. So they don't have family in Las Vegas. It's a transient state. You're lucky if you have a relative out here. So we take that upon ourselves, and we make it their home. We make it their family. And So yeah, we definitely keep in touch with them, and make them feel like for the 3, 4, 5 years that they're stationed here, like, yeah, you have a place, you have someone to come, you have someone to hang out, so
Yeah.
you keep in touch.
So you've gained a new career and a whole lot of new friends and extended family, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's all about the network. We introduce them to our network and we just keep branching out. Now you guys have another family.
that's amazing. So what's next for you, Dan? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Are you going to keep going the way things are going and keep building, like, or change it up? What do you think?
I'm having fun. And my
Good.
wife is still working, so she has a really good job. So she's doing her thing. And until she's ready to call it quits, I'm going to keep doing this and keep making that impact. And like I said, I'm having fun. So I don't see me changing anything. I don't see me joining a team or creating a team. For me, I like being a solo agent. I don't want to water down my services by, making a team. And then for me, it's just me. Like, I am the product. I'm authentic. I like to, when I'm working with you, you're getting me. And, I mean, sometimes it might not work, and that's cool. I can refer you to somebody that you might be a lot more professional, But with me, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. I love the clients that I'm working with, and I see me doing this for, at least another 8 years, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got a great support system with your family too. You've got your kids out there promoting you. You've got your wife supporting you and doing cookouts. I mean, it sounds absolutely great. So any tips or tricks that you would share with aspiring real estate agents from what you've learned in your early years?
Yeah. So our CEO, Bob Hamrick of Coldwell Banker, it's something he says to us all the time, and it's ingrained. He always says, do the right things, right, and do the right things right often. And that sits with me all the time because as long as you're doing the right things and you're doing it right and you're doing it all the time, you're gonna be successful. The biggest thing I see with agents coming in here right now, and that's anyone from 18 to 50, they're coming in here and they have a block in their mind and they want to do things their way. And I get it. But listen to your managers and your salesmen. They know what they're doing. They're giving you the foundational blocks to build off of your business. Listen, shut up and color. That's what I tell all the new guys. Just shut up and color. It's the military. Shut up and color, learn that foundation, and then build off of that with what you want to do. But you have to build that foundation in order to be successful. Once you figure that out, make it your own, and ask for help. That's the other thing. A lot of people are, quiet. Ask for help. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's a good one because a lot of people are afraid to ask for help, and most people in the real estate business are willing to lean in and help. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's good to hear. So, Dan, we're going to jump into our lightning round. I'm going to ask you a question. Some of these are a little more personal, 60 seconds or less. Give me your thoughts. So, the first one I'm going to ask: is there a book or a podcast that you've read or listened to that you'd recommend for the audience?
A book, it's more military, but it has to do with real estate, is Make Your Bed. I actually just loaned it out, but if you can get it on Audible, or you can find it on eBay. It's like $5. It's from a Navy admiral. I forget his name so bad, but it's called Make Your Bed, and it basically rolls right into real estate. Super easy read for people that don't like reading. It's like 100 pages, but the message is there. So that would be my book.
Okay, that's a good one for sure. So if we had a time machine and you could go back to the day you started this journey, what advice would you give yourself, or what might you do differently?
Let's see. Don't think too much into it. Just go. I was overthinking a lot when I first came in here. I was listening to those YouTube videos. I was trying to do things that the agents in Texas were doing, which I should have just focused on Nevada. Listen to your sales managers and focus on that first, and then reach out.
Yeah, it's a good one. And the people who are doing training with you, like if you heed their advice and do what they say, and not all of it'll work for you maybe, but you, like you said, you don't like the door knocking, but the networking and the social and some of the other things, like find your niche and what works for you, right? Like
Yes.
you've been able to do that and it's tremendous. So if we had or I'm sorry, if you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh man. Oh,
I
man,
know that's always a tough one.
yeah. I'd say my grandfather. And it's no celebrity or nothing like that, but my grandfather passed when I was in middle school, and he was one of the like hardest workers I knew. Old school Hawaiian guy, retired Army. So discipline came when I was growing up, and
Yeah.
I was raised around him a lot, and he was the one that kind of ingrained these kind of values into me about hard work, work ethic, integrity. Before I even joined the military. Um, so yeah, I would say him. He was a good man, and I
Yeah.
really wish he was around to give me advice as an adult. So
Yeah. Well, it sounds like he has made his influence on you for sure.
uh,
And you've got that discipline, no doubt. Um, what was your day like at work yesterday?
yesterday was Sunday, supposed to be a day off.
Okay, it's a good
So,
place to
yeah,
start. Yeah.
supposed to, but it never stops. So I had a home inspection at 8 o'clock in the morning. Um, my wife came along with me because she was off. So
Nice.
I like to introduce her to my clients, every chance I get. So she came out with me at the end of the inspection. I introduced her to my client. They just came in from Germany, so it was pretty cool. We did the home inspection. I took her to brunch right after that, and
Mm-hmm.
then we went and did some house showings. So we did three, and then after that, I came home and I worked on some contracts. Um, I was on leave last week ago in Kauai, and I closed on three houses while I was out there. So there's a lot of paperwork that goes with that, and
Mm-hmm.
closing gifts. And then I went under contract on three while I was out there. So a lot more paperwork and a lot more follow up. So I was working till about 11 o'clock last night.
Oh my gosh. So, yes, you had a very busy day.
Sunday was
And
busy.
talk about that a little bit because people often ask, like, real estate, there's flexibility, how would you describe that to someone? Because there's flexibility, but you did work a pretty busy Sunday. So, like, talk about the schedule a little bit.
So the schedule is yours, right? We're independent contractors. You're your own business. You work as hard as you want to work, and you're only as successful as you want to be. So what you put into your business is what you get. And for me, it's not about like how much money I can make, it's how many people I can help. So if I take a lot of breaks, a lot of people are not going to be helped. And right now, currently where I'm sitting, I have 23 buyers pre-approved. There's not enough hours in the day for me. I don't have a team. It's just me. So I have to work the weekends. I have to work nights. They tell me not to. They're like, take a break. It's cool, sir. You don't have to do that. No, man, I want to do this. And I know my body. I've been in the military long enough. When burnout starts to hit, then I'll take a couple hours. I'm good. So like, you are what you make of it, right? So like, you have to know your limits. But at the same time, if you're not willing to work, outside the 9 to 5, this might not be for you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning.
Especially at the beginning and understanding that and going in and maybe if you need a Friday afternoon to take a break and because you're burnt out you take that but then you're showing houses on Sunday, so yeah, good
That's where that
points.
schedule comes in.
Yeah. Do you have certain times that you block that are just for you and your family or anything like that?
Yes. So my wife gets off of work at 3:30. So I usually try to be home between 3:30 and 5:30. We like early dinner.
Yeah.
I'll go work a couple hours after that, and then we come down and we watch our TV shows.
Yeah.
And then she goes to sleep early because she works really early in the morning. So then I'll go back up to my home office, and I'll work. But on the weekends, we usually talk about it during the week. Like, hey, what do you want to do? I like to go to brunch. I want to go see a movie. So I'll put that in my schedule.
Yeah.
Like, hey, wife time, family
Yeah.
time. So you definitely need to block those important things out because without the support of your family, your friends, you're going to get beat down. So
Yeah.
schedule is super important, and following that schedule is even more important. It's no good if you write it down and you don't follow it. So
Good point. Good point for sure. So, Dan, if our listeners and viewers want to find you or connect with you, follow your journey, or maybe they're looking for someone to represent them, how can they find you?
So my Instagram is it's just my name, Dan Merrill, Las Vegas Realtor. Super easy. That's also my Facebook.
Okay.
For anyone that doesn't have Instagram. And then my email address is just dan.merrill@cbvegas, like coldwellbankervegas.com. And then my phone number. It's where I mess up with everybody because I don't have a 702 that's Las Vegas. I have an 805 area code, which is California, but it's 805-315-1898. And even for any of the new realtors that are looking for answers, I'd be happy to help. Contact me. I get it. Sometimes you don't want to ask people in your brokerage. Reach out, man. I help other people out here in other brokerages. Like sometimes you just need a different ear to listen. So I'm here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, Dan, this has been fantastic. I appreciate your time. Your story is a great one. Congratulations on your success. I have no doubt it's going to continue. And thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Unlocking Real Estate My First Commission. We hope today's stories and insights gave you that extra spark to keep moving forward in your real estate career. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners like you. And don't forget you can watch this or other episodes on our YouTube channel. We'd also love to hear from you. Send your comments, key takeaways, or recommendations for future guests to unlockingrealestate@colibrirealestate.com.